Yata for the sound of the bell. Mind calm, body at ease, breathing quiet, sentiment and Neverland. Dharma friends, sitting still in vital silence, wanting nothing, we practice eco-Buddhism The sound of the temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict of nonviolent global village forever. Here is the after sound of the bell. Thunder of silence, light after Dharma rain. Vairocana Mahamudra Mani Padme Jvala Pravartaya.
Before we do, we were just going to do a little stretching. So, if you have glasses on, you might want to take them off. I'm just going to instruct you for a second. Put them deep behind your hands. And put them on your eyes. Little eye contact of your eyes. Again. And we'll go through our stretching routine first. Palms in front, looking up. Only doing what your bodies will allow. If it feels comfortable to stretch. If not, you can just sit comfortably and peacefully. Nothing to do in this moment. Hands behind your back and bend forward. As you go through the motions, again, caring for your body, aware of each muscle movement, each ligament. Really seeing carefully and closely how you're feeling each and every moment. Please rise and come forward for chanting the refuges.
She
Shivam Samse Chema Shale Sanju Ilche
I go for refuge to the Buddha
I go for refuge
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
and realize the great way.
and realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma
I go for refuge to the Dharma
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings
I will penetrate the teachings
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha
I go for refuge to the Sangha
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will seek great peace and harmony for the many
I will seek great peace and harmony for the many
and transform this world into Buddha land unimpeded.
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
If you will all please stay standing, you're going to move into a small memorial service honoring war, conflict, all the people suffering in Israel and Palestine right now. So it's going to be a little bit of a process. I'll just speak a little bit through it. But we're going to start with lighting a candle in 3 bows. If you do prostration, you can do prostration. If not, just standing bow is fine. And then we'll sit, and it'll be pretty quick. Please take a seat on that cushion or As the bell sounds, settle body and mind. If there are tears, let there be tears. If there is numbness, let there be numbness. If there's wonder, let there be wonder. Just letting everything be as it is.
Metta Sutta, Meditation on Loving Kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, nor despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection.
Metta Sutta, Meditation on Loving Kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace.
Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none, through anger or ill will, wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection.
Sit for a couple minutes until you hear the sound of the bell. Can you hear me in the back? Can you hear me in the back? Yeah. I'll introduce myself. My Dharma name is Kusa. Street name is Ivan, I-V-A-N. And I am a Dharma teacher with our organization. I lived in Ann Arbor for 10 years, but I left around 2010. And I've been back and forth on and off. And I'm currently a chaplain, Buddhist chaplain at Davidson College outside Charlotte, North Carolina. Kind of odd. Presbyterian College has a Buddhist chaplain, that's another story. I serve like 2 people there. I do a lot of work. I do meditation, mindfulness, interfaith work, and Buddhist chaplaincy. So that's who I am. I've been a student of Hajus and Semusudim and fellow brothers and sisters here, and all of you in the Dharma since 2007. I ordained in 2014 and just kind of hang around. We are going to start with a couple things, just slightly differently, and then hopefully get through this quickly and have some time for questions. You have questions? So the first thing I'd like you to do is just think, kind of bring to mind a moment this week where you had to care for yourself. And really just kind of distill it into a few sentences you're going to tell somebody. But what did you do to care for yourself? Doesn't have to be very fancy. Bowl of cereal, TV show, know how to get all Buddhisty. See if you can bring forth that feeling of care. It's not just a thought. Embody it. Okay. Now what I'd like you to do is turn to somebody next to you. We're going to move in a second, but for now, just turn to somebody next to you. And one person just tells the other person what they did to care for themselves. If you're listening, just really pay attention. There's no really crosstalk right now, so kind of mindful dialogue. You just listen. And then when everyone's done saying it, it'll get quiet in the room. I'll ring the bell, and then the next person. Okay? So it'll be very natural. The silence will kind of tell us. So just turn around, find your person, so it's not that awkwardness of whom I'm going to speak to. If you're alone, let's see somebody. Anybody alone over here? Okay, now there's somebody over there. You can join. Okay. One person goes, silence, then the bell.
I woke up after having some really bad dreams this morning. Kind of mess up the whole thing. I thought about not coming and going back to sleep. But I knew I would just have more bad dreams, and then I would wake up feeling bad. And so instead I got up and I was very grateful.
Just one example, one person, and when that one person's done, you bring it to silence. So it's really a practice of listening to. And I should say, for the people online, if you're watching now, or if you're going to tune in at some separate space-time, it's a good time just to reflect on your own personal care. So for those listening, it's really a practice of listening. You just see the other person. See them. Hear. And then when you're done speaking, it's about taking space and giving space. So you just say what you need to say, and then just return to silence. Next person. Good practice of feeling the urge, what urges come up in conversation. It's really deep practice of feeling those urges. So what we're going to do now is you're going to get up and you're going to find somebody in the room that you've never talked to before, preferably moving at least 2 or 3 rows away from where you are now. So just let chance and karma dictate who you end up with. Up and around. Don't think about it too much. I'll give you 30 seconds and I'll ring the bell. Don't worry about fluffing your cushions.
I don't think I talked to you. I was so good. Mr. Ginsburg.
And then please take a seat wherever you kind of are. Find a place that's comfortable. It's very awkward. But once you feel it, everything's awkward until it's not. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing. So you're just going to tell this person that's now in front of you. If we had more time, I would do names and everything. We just not a lot of time. But sometimes getting to know people who cares different than me. So same thing, just one person tells the other person, how did you care for yourself this week? And then silence, or when I ring the bell, move to the next person. Okay, so please begin.
Roughly.
Took out.
Nothing else to do that. I have I think so.
Yes.
Like,
We can move on to the next person, and then when you turn together.
Certainly been very excited and busy, but also busy at work. 12 hours so by the computer a lot. So without that, it's like there's a feeling of like excitement about like what's going on in the work and the project that we're like bringing forward, but at the same time it's useful to have moments of stillness where and just letting things be, because it's very excited about all the things that are possible that we're working towards. So it's just useful.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'd like just to share with the room, this isn't to me, you don't need to talk to me, but what did you hear? How are people caring for one another? And you can share what you heard, you could share what you thought, maybe something else comes up. So what did you hear? How did you feel? Okay. Would anyone like to share?
My first partner mentioned that he works from home and he's going through a lot of stress and decided to.
Hold on with it. Sure. Okay, we need to take the microphone down, so I'm going to have to play you on there. Take it away. Again, I'm new here, so.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Anyway, the first partner I had said that he works from home and has a lot of stress, and so one day he just decided to screw this, I'm going for a hike in the woods. And yeah, it changed the whole color of the world for me. So it's a good time of year to do that too.
I'll let them do this, so hiking back there.
One of my partners had a hard time at work, and they decided to not use a substance when they felt that way. I felt that was very powerful.
My partner was having trouble getting to sleep, being surrounded by lots of things that were making it troublesome, and just sat for a second and meditated to calm themselves so that they might be able to.
My partner was having trouble sleeping and learned to play a song that he had heard on television and did that for about an hour.
Maybe a couple more somewhere.
I heard letting go of shame through leaning into your spiritual
Practice, and also nurturing your inner being through yoga and meditation.
I heard spontaneous laughter through my totally constructed exercise. Totally unnatural. But I heard laughter. I heard people saying hi to one another, even though I didn't tell you to. So that's what I heard. I heard laughter. Don't always need to explain why we do the things we do, but I think just one thing to recognize there that I do a lot with students I work with of all ages, myself included, is we don't really need to look that far for how we need to care for one another. And we just need to kind of engage the people around us in relationship. This is Sangha right here. It's not me, not Haju, not Hayun or Mahon. It's all of us here, right? We're Sangha. And the wisdom of this practice, liberation, comes out of Sangha. And if you're not talking to each other, seeing one another, then there's no Sangha. It's just a bunch of people in the room. Right? But Sangha is much larger than our room here. It's like our communities outside. So we need to not just be a bunch of people in Ann Arbor, but create a community. So that's, you gotta just practice. It feels unnatural at first. You gotta do it. Okay, are you okay sitting where you're at, or do you want to come closer? If you're fine, if you can hear me, it's just, you're good where you're at. Okay. So I'm just gonna say a couple things because I'd like to get to questions or comments. So I'll be brief. If you need to move, please move. Care for yourself is more important. Okay. Okay. Actually, let me tell you a story real quick. I'll tell you a couple quick stories, and then I'll read this, and it'll just be a question. And so, has anyone seen the YouTube show Hot Ones? Right? You all know what it is. You know what it is? Can you say what it is to other people? Or?
It's an interview show where I believe the tagline is "Hot questions and even hotter wings."
Yes. It's a non-vegetarian show, right? But they basically interview people and they ask questions. Questions are really good, actually. It gets really deep. And then as they're interviewing people, the people are eating hot wings, and it gets hotter and hotter hot sauces. And so, for whatever reason, don't ask me why, I've taken it on myself to do this at Davidson. But one thing I've learned by watching the guy do it is everyone always asks him, how are you doing this? Because he's always doing it himself, right? And he's like,
I've been there before. I've gone through it. I just know what's coming. So he's just kind of done it enough, right? So I'm now preparing myself for this challenge, and I've gone through this sequence of season 20's hot sauces at least 2 or 3 times now, and they get ridiculously bad. It's like pain in your mouth, unnatural pain. Like if you know the Scoville level, the last one's like 800,000 or 10,000 Scovilles. Okay, but you go through it, and it gets a little bit better each time. The thing is, now I cannot look at food without thinking, how would that taste with Beyond Insanity on it? Or how would that taste with an Apollo pepper sauce on it? I just can't. Like everything. This morning, tofu in the morning, eggs, like, what if I put a little yogurt on it or something? You know? Or now, like, there's some chili sauce around, and I just keep dumping chili stuff on because I'm trying to, like, feel the heat, you know? Okay, so that's one thing. And it's been on my mind a lot lately. Here's another story. I got on the plane to come here and feeling really good because I was really busy last week. I took students to Atlanta and just got a lot of stuff done and was really looking forward to coming here. Going to read the Lotus Sutra on the plane. I love being on planes, no internet, just kind of like with reading. And so I was feeling good. And I sat down and the fellow next to me, sitting like that, you know? So I'm in the aisle seat. And without a word, I'm like, who is this dude that owns the whole freaking plane? And I'm already upset in my mind. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be like all Buddhist patient about it. I'm gonna put my arm a little bit here. I'm unattached, you know? Totally, no. So within seconds, like totally fine. Not even thinking about it. I didn't get on the plane thinking I'm gonna get totally upset at somebody, right? That's not my jam. I'm like all loving kindness. And then I'm already caught up. Let's give you one last story. My wife's Romanian, right? And I don't hear this so much, but apparently she has an accent. So we'll go to shops, and she really doesn't like saying hi to people. You might think it's because she's a little grumpy. She's a little grumpy. Hopefully you erase that. She does have a thing about other human beings. But part of it is because every time she says hello, almost immediately, what do you think the first question is she gets? Where are you from? And they ain't asking, what city did you come in from today? So sometimes she'll play along and she'll be like, oh, I'm from Ann Arbor. And they'll be like, are you really from Ann Arbor? I don't know. Maybe the person doesn't even know why they're asking the question. I don't think they do. It's not like they intentionally thought, I really want to know what country this person is from. Most people don't care what country you're from or where you come from. It's not like their day is going to end because they don't answer that question. It's just an impulse. Already entangled. They don't even know it. I don't even know it because I'm already upset. Now I got to figure out how to break this up, and I start asking questions that I don't really like. Where are you from? You know? Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm sure you've had experiences like that. Different forms of entanglement. So this is from The Path of Purification. This is a really important text in the history of Buddhist world's teachings. It's more in the Theravada school. It's written by a really important teacher called Buddhaghosa. I forget the exact time period I share now. I think it's 200 or 300 CE, but I could be wrong. Sri Lanka area. But it's really important text. And I was talking with a friend of mine who's a Buddhist chaplain. He's a monk in the Theravada tradition at Emory. His name is Venerable Priya. Learned a lot from him and a lot of other Buddhist teachers. And we were talking about the Noble Truths, or the truths. It's actually the more accurate translation is the truths for those who have noble vision, or the truths for those who want to take on a spiritual path. So it's not actually that the truth itself is noble, it's that if you want to do this work, these are the things you should be looking at, okay? As opposed to other things. The Speaker Bodhi, a lot of people, that's just a translation. Okay. And very often, the first one is dukkha, which is what you normally hear it as. Suffering, right? Which I hope y'all should ask. Y'all should ask, if Buddhism is such an important religion and the first truth is like there's suffering, this is not an important tradition at all. I mean, do you really need something to tell you that there's suffering? You don't need anyone to tell you that there's suffering. So the truth isn't that there's suffering. The truth is that your liberation can come from turning into your suffering. It's not that there is suffering, it's that suffering is the path to peace. Now that sounds like masochistic, but it's not. It's different than that. But so the truth is that you can turn into your suffering to liberate yourself without turning away. Suffering is actually not the best interpretation, if you ask me, and this is based on practice and learning a lot from indigenous colleagues and BIPOC scholars and BIPOC practitioners, but there's something deeper going on. And so as I was talking with Venerable Priya about this, that suffering kind of colludes our minds with. He pointed me to this opening paragraph, so I want to read this opening paragraph to you. It's about entanglement. And that maybe what the Buddha is talking about is not so much that there's suffering. Suffering is part of it, but that there's entanglement. Okay? So, path of purification. When a wise person established well in virtue develops consciousness and understanding, then, if you want to, you can sit a little formally. If you put Ham Sen Ham Chang, you can do that. It's nice because these are important words. They're only important if they resonate with your liberation. Otherwise, they're just sounds. When a wise person established well in virtue develops consciousness and understanding, then as a monk or practitioner, ardent and sagacious, he succeeds in disentangling this tangle. This was said, but why was it said? While the Blessed One was living at Savatthi, it seems a certain deity came to the Buddha in the night, and in order to do away with their doubts, they asked the Buddha this question: the inner tangle and the outer tangle. This generation is entangled in a tangle. Sounds like prophecy. This generation is entangled in a tangle. And so I ask of Gautama this question: who succeeds in disentangling this tangle? Or how do you disentangle the tangle? How do we relate to one another so that when I sit on a plane, I don't get entangled in anger and all sorts of silly games? How do we relate to one another so that I don't see every piece of tofu in front of me as a vehicle for hot sauce? How do we relate to one another so that when we see somebody of a different background, we don't all of a sudden entangle them and ourselves in webs of bias and all sorts of isms, racisms, homophobisms, ableisms, just all the things. Right? And I would just suggest that part of our practice is helping us to address that kind of systemic entangling, which is what it's actually about. If I was going to continue, I was going to talk about right intention just for a second. I think part of the answer has to do with Metta Sutta, loving kindness, care, and compassion. But I'm just going to say that I think most of you already know how to do the work because you know how to care for yourselves and you know how to care for other people. That's why we did the first thing. You don't need to read too much to do this. You just have to remember that you already know how to disentangle the tangle. But it's useful that we come together to help each other do that work, because sometimes you can't do it all alone. So we need teachers and friends and sangha and community, not a bunch of individuals in a room, but people kind of bouncing into one another and talking to one another, not hitting one another with stuff. Although sometimes it comes to blows, and then the tangle disentangles. Okay? So it's a complicated world we live in. Questions or comments? And apparently I think maybe we're gonna have to run this around. I can run it around you. Question for you would be, what's your experience of entangling and disentangling? How do you get entangled in your life?
And how do you disentangle, if you can at all? Right? So that's a question.
I found Facebook to be very entangling. And it got pretty bad during the pandemic because I had a baby and I was nursing the baby and I was scrolling Facebook the whole time. So I was very entangled. And then the universe brought me teachers and people to show me that my attention was very entangled. And so I started learning about attention and authentic relationships and could very clearly see what needed to go. And so I deleted my Facebook account. So I'm very much happy for it. I don't feel entangled, at least in Facebook, anymore.
I find entanglement when I'm forming attachments and judgments, whether it be for myself or for others or situations. And I find that I can disentangle when I can be present in the now and return to being and practice non-reaction, non-judgment, and non-attachment. And it's challenging in a good way. And I no longer want to do it perfectly, but I just am grateful for the practice.
I actually have an example myself. It just happened this morning, so it's very current. I'm going to be the cook for the retreat that's coming up. I don't know whether some of you are coming to a little bit of our Young Men Junction, which is starting Wednesday evening, ending next Sunday. Just to put a plug in for it, you don't have to come for the whole time. And you may not want to come now that you know that I'm the cook. But so I found out this morning that our stove was not working properly. And so I became very tangled, but it wasn't like, who's at fault here? Because beautifully in our community, several people take fault, like it's my fault. And that's just the way we are as Buddhists. But I was like, how do I untangle myself? And so how I untangled myself was getting to the next side, which is sort of like, what do we do now? I mean, it's just like, this has happened. No one's really to blame. It's just, it's here. And so we have another stove. Can we make it work there? So it helped me to not kind of stew in it, just to say, what do we do now? You know, and it just kind of was liberating because it took me out of that moment of being pretty upset that it's been broken for several weeks and I didn't know about it, to, oh, we have another stove, so let's use that. So sometimes it's just very practical things that help us get to the next
level. When others, people around me, practice wrong intention, I become very entangled and begin to do it myself sometimes. And I'm often not able to become unentangled, and coming here today was my attempt at doing that, and it has helped.
I think in general terms, there's a lot of entanglements, I think it's mostly entangled into things that don't actually exist, like labels and made-up concepts that cause everything from thinking that on the plane that the other person is supposed to be completely rational and everything and be caring for you, and or thinking that the people who live in some other place or of some other kind, and that you should feel about it in a certain way or whatever. Yeah, I think it's just what is real, and let's focus on that.
It's funny, my husband, I don't know if he's quoting like Hitchhiker's Guide or something, but all the time he'll say, things get in a tangle. And so I have to ask him when I get home where that quote is from. But I think my big entanglement is like thinking that I can get away from things like throughout my life. But there's really no away that you can get. It's like you can only be like in and toward, and like there's no away. And so like your example, Gustav, being on the plane, this weekend we've been cleaning out our basement, which is like kind of triggering because you're like, how do two minimalists have all this stuff? And there's like some shame and like it's stressful, and we're both kind of getting a little irritable. And my husband asked me like, oh, I'm taking the recycling out. Could you go down and get like another grocery bag? Because we use the paper bags to get a grocery bag. And my initial thought in my mind was like, I'm not doing that. It was literally like going down to get it. And then, but I noticed that I thought that, and I was like, that's interesting. That's like the away delusion thing happening. But I just had to go. I went, no, I will go and get the bag. I just said, yes, I can do that. So the elbow thing on the airplane was like, that's my version of that, I guess. I'm trying to say no to things that I don't need to say no to sometimes.
Maybe one more or a question? Yeah.
Yes, my entanglement is my wife's credit card bill at the end of the month. And I get all caught up in there. And after a day or two, I kind of calm down with some acceptance that this is going to occur the next month. So I learned to, as I was taught, to engage and disengage. So that's my entanglement. I speak with her, please, you want stop. She's never seen a store she didn't like. And I'm constantly asking her, slow down. We're in our senior life now. My production years is over. So we don't need to, she often believes that we got a nice disposable income. That means we need to dispose of it. I don't believe in it. So that's my entanglement and disentanglement. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just wrap things up. Some of the things that I heard, the in-between moment, giving time to rest, so you can get clear vision. It's hard to get clear vision when you're really worked up. At our school, there's a lot of, this conflict is raging in the Middle East. A lot of people want to do something right now, but it's a lot of emotions. To care for the emotions. It's a lot of learning to do too. So to care for the emotions. So you have to let things settle a little bit. Clear seeing what's actually in front of you. Right? Actual suffering, so much easier to deal with than imagined suffering. So what's the actual suffering? Because the actual suffering has causes and conditions. Bell sound, stop it. But imagine bell sound, how do I stop that? I can't even find it. So what's the actual suffering, right? Settling, clear seeing, and work with it, right? You don't know how to do that. You don't need us. Well, I mean, kind of do, because we need each other. And if nobody came here again, then we wouldn't be here. But anyways, you all know how to do it. That's the Buddhist wisdom, right? It's all inside. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for playing along and being here today. And we probably have some announcements. Yeah, that's it. Huh? Oh, we don't do them after. Okay, I think we're gonna do 4 great vows. So please, and then announcement. So putting together our hands in hapa. Please repeat after me. All beings one body.
All beings one body.
I vow to liberate.
I vow to liberate.
Blind passions, one root.
Blind passions, one root.
I vow to terminate.
I vow to terminate.
Dharma gates, one mind.
Dharma gates, one mind.
I vow to penetrate.
I vow to penetrate.
The great way of Buddha.
The great way of Buddha.
I vow to realize.
I vow to realize.
And if you just listen for a second, it's traditional to end services with a dedication of merit. So right now, just whatever merit we have acquired through these practices and conversations and ease and joy we've cultivated here together today, we now dedicate and offer freely for the relief of suffering, ease and well-being of all beings, especially in this moment, those in Israel, Palestine, surrounding countries in the Middle East, so that we and all sentient beings may attain our Buddhahood together.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
A few announcements. We have public services like this every Sunday at 10 a.m. And we also live stream on YouTube, as you can see here. And then the first and third Sunday of every month, we have a 4 p.m. in-person service. And then every Sunday in the evening at 8 p.m., we have an online Sangha that meets online. So there's a link here on this sheet that you can go to if you would like to join that group. We have a wonderful and vibrant family program, and once a month, our children and their caregivers come to join this service and then break out for other age-appropriate activities. So the next one of those is November 12th at 10 a.m. Also, that's a Sunday. We have a one-day meditation retreat coming up Saturday, November 25th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is known as our Stop, Don't Shop meditation retreat. It happens right after Thanksgiving. And then this coming Wednesday evening, so October 18th through Sunday morning, the 22nd, is our fall intensive retreat, the Youngmin Jungjin. You can attend for part of the time, or you can attend the entire time and sleep over at the temple. Our yoga classes resume October 31st. These meet on Tuesday evenings from 6:30 to 8. And the next introductory meditation course, in this case, will be an overnight session, will be December 8th and 9th. That's a Friday evening through a Saturday around noon. And we have various study groups that meet throughout the week. You can learn more about them on this sheet. And I believe today Recovery Dharma is meeting
Recovery
at
Dharma will
noon.
meet at noon Eastern Standard Time, for those on Zoom, at the historic temple or the Big Yellow House.
Wonderful. There are sign-up sheets in the lobby for all of this, as well as a sign-up sheet for our email newsletter. Oh, Hayden, did you have something?
Yes, I do. If you are under the age of 24, or you know someone who is a teenager or a young adult, we're having a very special overnight retreat here, December 2nd and 3rd for teenagers and young adults. And we're going to be doing some calligraphy, some artwork, other kinds of looking at these hindrances that keep us from our greatest potential, some meditation instruction, and just a lot of fun with a lot of other people your age. So if you are in that category, or you know someone in it who is, have them contact the temple or talk to me about it, and we would be happy to include you.
Are we having work practice today?
Yes, we are. Yes, meeting by the small shed in the backyard to work in the garden for 15 minutes. Please, if you have some time, join us.
Wonderful.
Is that right after service?
Yeah.
And the temple is entirely supported by your kind donations of time and money. If you would like to donate your time, you can talk to any of us in the Great Clothes. There's always opportunities to give back to the temple. There is a fishbowl in the lobby if you'd like to make a financial contribution, and there's also a QR code for PayPal if you prefer to donate online. And you're welcome to stay and ask questions after the service and socialize and get to know each other a little bit more. So thank you all for being here.
So if you please stand for Yeah, otherwise, you're working out there.
So if we could have assistance in putting away the second two rows of mats and cushions, the ones touching the carpet in the center of the room can stay. They get stacked neatly in the back corner there.